Honest is a strong word, and we all need honesty when it comes to plumbing and HVAC needs. Somebody who will take care of the repairs efficiently and with quality. Honest Plumbing and Air is who I trust, and they take pride in that word. Honest Plumbing and Air, where a handshake still means something. This is the Texas High School Football State Championship weekend. Unfortunately, there are no programs from the Austin area, but there are some great stories across the great state of Texas. And, but I'd be remiss. One great part about this weekend is it's Christmas. We're close to Christmas. I know it's next week, but a very special Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. Much love to you. And hope you and your family and friends have a safe, a lot of fun, and make a memorable holiday season. And speaking of, there have been some memorable stories across this state in high school football, even locally, not only because no program made it from Austin to play for the Gold Ball, but there were some just great stories that came out of the Austin area. And I have somebody coming up next who I respect. I love his work. I got to be a colleague. That's the professional word of saying, you know what, this guy did something I did for so long, and he's still doing it. And he's won a few of what we call Emmys in the broadcast media world here in Austin, Texas. Travis Recek's his name. He works over there at Spectrum here in Austin. Actually, now they've changed their format. They're working statewide, and he will be in Arlington very soon to cover the Texas High School Football State Championship games. But before we get to that, I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors and partners. I wish them all a Merry Christmas. But Honest Plumbing and Air, where a handshake still means something.
Somebody said it was the end of an era. Somebody said it was the end of an era. It's just beginning. It's just beginning. You're telling him it's just beginning. That's what it says about this Soto. We here. We nowhere else. We here. We gonna be a goddamn legacy. Love these kids. I'm telling people talking about it. That's all they do. They want to talk about it, write us off. Well, guess what? Our kids, they fight. Our coaches, they fight. We believe in one another. Nobody can take down the great Southwest Carolina State told us. But they forgot about DeSoto. Now, just thank God that we'll be able to show everybody else we're a true team. We're a true team.
Travis, I'm fired up. I mean, I don't know if you've been that fired up since you were a McCallum Knight, but have you ever had a moment or even seen someone else deliver so much energy in an interview? Maybe what was his name from Eastview in Georgetown? It was something.
Oh, yeah. Apollos Hester.
That's it.
That may be the most famous moment in the history of our station. Is when he gave they had us in the first half speech. It happened live on our air, and that was pretty good. I had a really good one with Colin Simmons when he was a junior in high school after Duncanville won a state title, and for some reason he's celebrating and he ends up in front of me at the camera, and I didn't even ask for the interview. I just put the mic out and he went to work, and I'm like, what's happening right now? But I can't stop. He's that may be my most memorable one. But Mathis, an absolute legend, the perfect man for that job, and what a moment for them to win the way they did, and then obviously to have that boil out at the end.
That was awesome. That was amazing. It's everybody, these prognosticators, everyone who covers high school football, we all say, and I know I've said it, man, when is it going to cycle out at DeSoto? And he just keeps winning. And that whole south side of the Dallas area, there's so many great teams.
I thought this was South Lakes year.
I did too.
I picked them. I saw what they did all season. They destroyed people. It felt like all the steps were being followed. They got to the title game last year, fell short against Vandegrift. A lot of those pieces were back. There was the one motivation to finish the job, and they were massacring everybody. And they were beating DeSoto, but they couldn't stop them. And then they get the one pick six that like flipped the momentum and give DeSoto all the credit for hanging in that game and then coming up with the biggest stop on the goal line at the last second.
Some great video of that on the goal line, that hit. That was a culture, heart play right at the goal line. DeSoto's defense against South Lake Carroll. That was what Texas high school football is all about. Literally came to a big play, and then that running back.
He's the best player in the state.
How many yards has he had in the playoffs? Average? What was it?
It's like he's like over 300 most games. I watched him. So I went to Waco 2 weeks ago, and I watched them play Willis. It was not the prettiest game. Everyone in that building will admit it got a little sloppy. There were more personal fouls than needed to be on both sides.
Yeah,
both sides take blame. But every time DeSoto needed an answer, we all knew what was happening. They were giving it to Sherrod Baker, and no one could do it. He scored 7 touchdowns that game. He had almost 400 yards rushing. He's the best player. He's been the best player in the playoffs for sure this postseason, and he's the reason DeSoto is at this spot. And he's the reason I think they're going to win is he's that special.
And you just saw Claude Mathis, the pride of Bartlett, Texas, and I don't know if he goes by Texas State. We'll just be safe and say Southwest Texas Bobcat running back great. I remember way back in the 90s, he had a game in which he rushed for 300 yards against my SFA Lumberjacks on the road, and somehow they lost to Southwest Texas lost that game. But they had some great teams, and it was just fun to watch. And then he had a stint in NFL. Just a great person, great coach, and God, DeSoto's fun to watch. Before we get going, I just want to encourage everybody, follow each of our social media platforms. The best thing about YouTube, you can subscribe, and I use the term subscribe loosely. It's free. You just click follow, subscribe, whatever it is these days. If you have not finished your Christmas shopping, and Travis, your wife may want one of these items, it's one of our newest partners and sponsors, spiritdress.com. Right here. You go to spiritdress.com. Mercer Black, a UT alum, and I have to throw it in there. Travis and I have fun with this Anderson McCallum rivalry. It is an Anderson Trojan ownership right here, and UT alum. Spiritdress.com. They UT, OU, TCU, LSU, OSU, Texas Tech's a big one now that Mercer says for obvious reasons, and even Aggies. There's some maroon on her list, so jump on there. And if your lovely better half, we may have to find some kind of special code for you and your wife if you're interested. You may need a last minute. I don't know how quickly it'll arrive, but give them a try. I mean, if your team's in the CFP, it may arrive for the next game, round 2. Something like that. But spiritdress.com, go visit them and maybe get some kind of dress. None of it would fit me. I'm just being honest.
We don't need to see that either.
Well, nobody wants to see that, But I tell you what people would love to see. I love the theme. If it's not Austin teams, you got to love to see the 2 largest metro areas going at it in state championship games, as we do for this weekend. And Travis, you've seen some of these teams. It's DFW versus Houston in the 6A and 5A. We'll remove this. The only one that's close to Austin is Smithson Valley, and they have a pedigree. I think they're going for back-to-back, correct?
Yeah, they beat Highland Park last year. Finally. As much as Larry Hill has turned Smithson Valley into one of the premier programs in Texas, they never won it. Last year was the first time to get it done, and here they are back for the 3rd straight year playing for a title.
Oh, it's 3 straight years.
Yeah, they lost to Aledo 2 years ago, beat Highland Park last year, and here they are against Lone Star. I think Lone Star might – when you want to talk about the most pure high-end talent, this Frisco Lone Star. They have elite dudes on that team. And they've got a young quarterback who's got a chance to be really special. There's like some weird – he's going to get Kyler Murray comparisons because of his size. But he just does some unique things, not only athletically, but like throwing off platform and just making stuff happen. It's like Kyler and Mahomes, like he's trying to do a little impersonation of those guys, like, you know, kind of whipping it sidearm, but he's special. He's going to be fun to watch.
In the game, you know, the matchup, we're talking DeSoto. Here, I find this very interesting because you've got Dallas, DFW versus Houston area. DeSoto, just south of Dallas, versus C.E. King. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think C.E. King has played in a state championship game since the 50s. Is that?
I think you might be right. I didn't know a lot about them. You know, they're not one of those perennial teams. I thought that Summer Creek would beat them and be at this point, but King beat Summer Creek. I went and saw King play Vandegrift last week, and they're impressive. They got speed, a ton of speed, and a really mobile quarterback. That was the difference. Vandy matched points with them a lot of the game, but they had 1 pick six, and then King made an adjustment to just run their quarterback. They have a really good running back too. I think it's going to Rice, but the quarterback destroyed Vandegrift and did enough in the passing game to keep it open that they're impressive. But man, stopping Sarad Baker, I don't see it. I see a lot of points in that game.
It kind of reminds me of a little bit. I'm not making any comparisons. 0-1, Vince Young leading Houston Madison, and then they ran up against Westlake. But unlike, no offense, BY and you guys, but C. King did make it to the state championship game, and I love that. And you go down to 5A Division II, and Richmond Randall is a defending state champion. South Oak Cliff. Again, I have to resort to asking Travis because he is the expert. My knowledge is not what it once was. And even when I was still in the game, I still would have conversations asking you, hey, is this accurate? But South Oak Cliff going for a 3rd championship in 5 seasons.
Yeah, they've been there. This will be 5 years in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, because they won 2. They beat Liberty Hill, and then they won another one the next year. Then they lost to Port Neches Grove in a close game. They lost to Richmond Randall. They had a last-second field goal that they missed last year that either would have tied it or would have won it. So another close game, and it felt like this was a collision course all year for these two teams. South Oak Cliff has been impressive. They kind of dominated their playoff run, and Randall too. No one scores points like Richmond Randall. What did they score against Bastrop? Like 80, 90 a couple of weeks ago?
Unreal.
Their running back's as good as anyone too. We're going to talk about Sarad Baker, but I think it's Landon Callis for Richmond Randall. This is an awesome rematch in that Saturday morning game for sure.
It's a lot of fun. I hate that, you know, we have no control over. Travis, you'd be proud of me. I have reached the point in life where I don't stress or waste any time on things I have zero control over. But what I was alluding to is the fact that you have to get an app, purchase it to watch these games now.
So here's a little side story for you. I get a call from my dad yesterday. Loves high school football. He watches all these games. He's not happy. Where's the games? What channel are they on? I'm like, well, here's the thing. I was like, let me look into it. It's on an app. If I can tell you how to get it on your TV, I'll just walk you through it. I do it on my TV. I'm like, that was like 13 steps. He has no chance of me telling him how to get this on his TV. So I had to go there this morning and install the Victory Plus app. And once you get it in, you watch it on your TV. It looks good. It's the same production crews that always do it. It looks good. Yeah. It should be on a channel. Like, we're old. We just want to flip and watch it.
That's all we want.
But I had to go do that for him.
That is so funny. Have your parents do they have any issues of finding where their text inboxes are?
Oh, there's any technology issues. We got problems.
That's hilarious. And the nightcap Saturday, these two teams know each other. These two programs. We've had you've seen them several times, Duncanville, but Galena Park North Shore out of Houston. I feel like they have been around for 3 decades, competing for, been favored to, or played in this game so many times.
I think the season starts and they just advance to the state semifinals. Like, that's just, it's already agreed upon that, hey, we're going to pick up there. Because, right, this is the 6th time they're going to play Duncanville in a state title game. I know a couple of years that they didn't make it. It's because they lost to Westlake in the state semifinals. They lost last year to them. They lost one of Cade Klubnik's years in an incredible game. This is, I mean, I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing to keep seeing them, but look, these teams earn their spot here. And I will say this. I'm interested to watch this game because a couple years ago they played and Duncanville was just better.
Yeah.
They were so loaded with Keelan Russell, the quarterbacks at Alabama. They had Colin Simmons. They had Caden Durham, running backs at LSU. North Shore didn't have those guys. Duncanville's really good, obviously. They don't have that level of talent right now. And North Shore mauled Lake Travis's offense last week. Didn't give them a breath. And so I think it'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. And a side plot to it is if Duncanville could win, could Coach Samples, right off the shoulders of his players into the tunnel and into retirement,
That is a good human being right there. I mean, he and the SOC coach have done wonders for South Dallas or that area. Galena Park North Shore, I'd never figured out what happened, but I think they lost 3 or 4 regular season games. I don't know the story behind that. And what?
I hadn't followed them as much this year and really only saw when they played Lake Travis last week. And, I worried if Lake Travis would have enough on offense to ultimately get there. And that didn't, it went worse than I thought it would. They just that was the difference in the game is, they had some defensive turnovers that led to short fields and touchdowns. They're just crazy athletic.
So good.
I mean, I think that's, if you want to talk big picture thing, and this isn't anything new, but pure athletes, there's just more of them in Dallas and Houston. I mean, they're bigger cities that kind of naturally, but these main schools that keep getting back here, they just have crazy athletic guys. And these programs have found the right coaches to harness that talent. Like you said, Samples, Coach Todd, Coach Mathis, and that's why they're flourishing the way they are. And I think some people might say, man, I'd really love to see some different matchups, but I don't know. What are you going to do? One thing, I would be interested if somehow you could reseed in the Final Four.
And that's a great idea.
And make it – because, again, at that point you're traveling. For the most part, you're having to travel. So if it's a little bit longer travel, I thought maybe 2 of the best games of the whole year were last week. DeSoto, South Lake Carroll,
Agreed.
Aledo, Frisco, Lone Star. Would have loved to see those in title games. Not that these other teams can't give them a game this week. We'll see. But if there was a way to somehow pre-rank and then you reseed them, or maybe you just put them in a hat and shake it up. And so maybe you get Duncanville North Shore in the semifinals or something instead.
That's a great idea. And I get the UIL has a thankless job, but I feel like they've done a great job well over a century. Maybe they'll be open to it because, college football is having to evolve every year. Maybe the UIL can think about it by doing that, adding something fun, trying to add to the new mix of improving their product. It's something to think about. That's the first time I've heard of doing something like that, and I agree with you on that. Before we talk about what didn't happen in our area, I mean, you look at Lake Travis and Vandegrift, great seasons. I thought Hank Carter and that staff maximized what they had. They were fun to watch. Great defense. I thought Drew Sanders did maybe his best coaching job, because I thought they would be rebuilding. They took one on the chin early in the year. They somehow win that district. Not only that, they get on a roll, and they're one game away from trying to win back-to-back.
They were this close to losing in the first round of the playoffs.
Yes. Against Westlake.
Right. And I think if Westlake wins that game, Westlake might have been in the state semifinals. That's kind of the path of Region 4 a little bit, but it's also a credit to those teams that this crazy matchup, happens in round 1. And for Vandegrift to survive that, I don't think the quarterback was near healthy. He got healthier as the playoffs went on, and that allowed them to kind of go on this run too. But yeah, they lost a lot from that title team last year. And Sanders has become, and that's maybe not even fair to say become, like, he's an elite high school football coach.
100%.
He's been since the day he got there. It's just these last couple of years, he finally got him into a title game. He won a title, and now it's an understanding, because when you watch them, man, they can scheme you. They can out-scheme you like crazy. They're going to play fundamental, disciplined football, and they do. They just maximize the guys that they have.
No, it's phenomenal. And you and I together, when that program started, we got to see it launch. I'm not ever going to say they were mediocre, but they took off when you and I were still working together, in the market.
Yeah.
And they stayed there. And you knew it was going to happen at some point. You just didn't know when. And they have such a great home atmosphere.
They do. And they're they've had an incredible run of quarterbacks. Yeah. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. And that's what have Lake Travis and Westlake done. Great infrastructure, obviously, and talent, quarterbacks. And
you have to have a good quarterback.
Going back to, they had Braden Buchanan, and then they had Deuce Adams, and the best of those bunch was sitting on the bench the whole time. The best maker at wherever he ends up after UNT. But yeah, and then probably. and then Tiadeki these last 2 years. I mean, they've had Division I quarterbacks. Some of the best in the Austin area, and in turn, that has helped them elevate to that next level.
That's a great point, because they've had a good string of quarterbacks, and you look at the pedigree that both Lake Travis and Westlake have had. It's the same. It's very much the same, and it's a proven fact. Teams that succeed in the postseason, I've seen many of 10-0 teams or 9-1 falter early in the playoffs because of quarterback play or lack thereof, But when you look at how do you encapsulate, I thought ATX high school football had some great stories, but we'll get to that in a minute. But what do you trip? I mean, is it just aggressive for me to say down season for ATX high school football?
It felt a little down, and yeah, you can just say that based on no teams made it this weekend. But I think I think we know talent-wise, like there's been years where there's been more elite level talent in the area. There's some really good players. Don't get me wrong. But it just felt a tick down this year. When Westlake loses in the first round, that never happens. But they had a lot of injuries, and they played a really good team in the first round. But they were a little bit down. Cedar Park hasn't quite been. They were good this year. They haven't quite been at that level where their peak when they're making state title runs. I think it's interesting because there's some new teams that are coming into the mix. Maybe your best collection of individual prospects is at places like Pflugerville Weiss, and they had a nice playoff run.
They did.
Give them a lot of credit for what they did. Bastrop has kind of built something out there. So it's dispersed in a little different areas. But yeah, LBJ didn't have the season that they've had the past couple of years. So they didn't go on one of the deep runs. So some of these teams, Liberty Hill didn't go on one of their deep runs this year. Good teams, but not at the highest level that we've seen from those programs.
I think they're going to start, and this is not to take away what they achieved this year. Liberty Hill winning a district championship. I think they're going to start feeling the effects with that new high school.
100%. 1,000%, yeah.
In Georgetown, someone asked me today or this week, hey, I've got the contract to help build the third high school in Georgetown. Like, okay. I think we've heard about it, but I thought it was at least 5 years down the road.
Farther, yeah.
And can we forget this? San Marcos, and that's got to be your best high. I mean, follow, just so you'll know, you've got to follow him on Twitter. It's pretty simple. I like it. Very simple. Just his first and last name, Travis Recek, on Twitter. Great high school football stories. And you'll see why he's won 3 Emmys. Good storytelling and follows the high school football scene. He's not just limited to high school football, but does a great job. But, you named off some great stories, teams. I agree. I think San Marcos has to be in there. And then maybe the Anderson Trojans with what they did, winning a playoff game.
If you want to talk about San Marcos, we could do a whole podcast about their situation and having guys basically relegated to JV, suspended for recruiting violations a couple of years ago. Look, there's a lot of people that find advantages in locating players across the state. Were they a little more aggressive than most about it? Yeah, they got clipped for it, no doubt. But 3 years, those guys couldn't play varsity football.
Unreal.
Is a lot. And so it showed there was a lot of talent there because all those guys became eligible this year. I think they finished second in that district. They go to the playoffs, win a playoff game. I mean, they had real guys. Like that was and those guys stuck with it. I think maybe one of them transferred, but it was like a group of 11 that got suspended. And they stuck with the program. They played JV football, but they couldn't really play JV football because that wasn't fair. They had to have their own schedule where they're playing like private school varsity teams, or they're playing like the best JV pro, because otherwise they were going to beat the dog out of these teams, because these are Division I players on the JV team. So yeah, they were an incredible story. Yeah, your Anderson team, unbelievable. What they did in going on that run to a 9-0 start to the season, winning that district, having AISD's leading rusher of all time in the season that Caleb Crenshaw had, bringing him and Yaheem Riley into the program, and those guys adapting and being such huge parts of fitting into what Coach Hatcher had already there. Yeah, that was, Anderson as one of the top programs in the area is not a normal story.
It's not a normal year.
And that's not McCallum hate. That's just reality.
It is. McCallum, it wasn't that long ago. They were in the state semifinals.
Yeah.
And then, last year Anderson makes it to the postseason. And then they finally knocked the door. They just can't, as a program. It was a great year, phenomenal group of kids. It's just the program, AISD programs, historically speaking, post-Reagan and what they did back in the 80s, 90s, it's hard for AISD. And Bowie's done a great job with Coach Abels. It's just hard for AISD to get past the second round, historically speaking.
It is what it is. Like we're not trying to demean any of these programs.
No,
it's reality. And you and I are products of AISD.
and we're proud
We
of
see it. Yeah, we see it every day. I talk to these coaches. They're up against it from resources, facilities, numbers of just filling out their roster. It's harder. It just is. It just is. And so, yeah, it's going to be difficult for these programs to compete at the elite level. LBJ did it a couple of years ago.
They did.
Getting to a state title game. They've proven over the years that with the right class, they can still do that. But yeah, I mean, McCallum's run to the state semifinals was, I think that's the last time besides LBJ that anyone's gotten that far. But he's had a couple of, I think, third rounders. It's just hard. It just is what it is.
Shout out to Coach Fenner, who's at UT on Sark staff. He did a great job with LBJ, and then got them so close to that gold ball. It's or gold plaque, whatever they give the state champions now. But and then Coach Jack, the late Coach Jack, did a great job. I'm trying to think. Is there one story maybe that you did that just could resonate with a lot of people from the ATX area that will be recalled as one of the better stories of this season?
Yeah, there were a couple. At the beginning of the year, I did one on Westlake's quarterback, Reese Wise. A lot of people know him. He's been a 2+ year starter for Westlake. He's a good dude. And, he's been through some stuff. Like his dad a couple of years ago went through some major heart complications, was real close to not making it. And, got a chance to talk to him, spend some time with the family. And, it's unique to see these young guys that have perspective because, again, it was a long time ago, but I remember being a high school kid and I had very little perspective. I wasn't a bad kid, but I didn't have perspective like that. I hadn't been through something like that, but like to see the appreciation of just having your dad be in the stands. Yeah. And like, he doesn't miss a practice. Like he go to every practice because he can, and he gets to, and so that was really one that stood out for sure. And one that you turned me on to with Anderson's quarterback. Again, you don't want to harp on tragedy, but it creates these stories that have impact. And, Anderson's quarterback, Cove Derbyshire, lost his father to suicide a couple of years ago. And that's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's important to him because he wants to bring awareness to it. He wants to bring awareness to male mental health, and he has a platform. He's on a really good team. He's a high school football player, and he wanted to share, hey, this is real. Like, my dad went through it, and I want to put it out there. And, it came on the heels of what happened with, the Dallas Cowboys player and, relevant topic for a lot of reasons. So, yeah, those are definitely two that stuck out in my mind that we were able to tell this year.
And I have to give it to you. You did a phenomenal job telling them two very sensitive stories. And if Reese and Cove are watching this or hear about it, I don't ever want the attention or bring it back to me. I lost my dad before my 8th grade year, the summer before. But each of our stories are all different. I am by no means trying to compare myself, but we all experience a loss. And for young men at that age, life is coming at you fast, especially like you and I have no clue of what it's like to be a teenager now. Social media, recruiting so much different, and their expectations. These are good kids, and they're thrown hard life lessons so quickly, losing your foundation. And the way these young men have handled it and to use their platforms, as you said, that was great. And I hope they both know they have platforms to help because as I know all too well, there's this thing about being a male or a man that be tough. You know what? Part of being tough is now involved. Speak up on it and help others. You say, this is how I feel. So I love that you told those stories, did a great job on both. And I just hope more people, mental health is a horrible situation right now. I mean, people just don't talk. It shouldn't be taboo.
I mean, I literally had this conversation with Coach Mathis a couple of weeks ago. We were talking because I had posted a clip after their game, and one of his kids was receiving a lot of backlash for his actions on that clip. And I felt really bad because I had put it out there. And, you know, we understand social media can be awful.
Brutal.
And it's easy to just say, don't read it. But I read it. So to tell a 17-year-old, don't, you know, when people are coming at you, I was like, ugh, it's something I think about constantly, like, especially with covering high schools. So what's the right balance between reality, but also the understanding these are still kids. And as important as Texas high school football is, how to treat it, you know? And you're right. You're right on with all the, you know, the tough things that we shouldn't be afraid to address.
You make a good point that I often forget, and I wish more. And it includes young men who are being recruited.
It's awful.
You know, don't be. It's kind of my say. I'm not even comparing this, but I joke when I say this. I don't like grown men wearing a jersey. It's like there's two things grown men. If you wear a jersey, that's your prerogative. It's okay. But there's two things. I joke about the jersey, and don't reach out to kids in a way that's negative or to criticize them for whatever they're doing, recruiting wise.
I agree. And it ain't going to stop. I hate being, you know, that direct about it. I hate seeing it, you know, and it'll be a certain story. Like I'll post something like when Jet Walker, the Georgetown running back, committed to Texas, I posted like a minute clip of him running over guys and running for touchdowns. Most of it, oh, awesome, he's coming to UT, boom, 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 this guy's great. But then there's losers in there that are like, he'll never play. He'll transfer. You're like, why do you have time to even get in this conversation? You know, and again, that's why I say, like, most of it's positive. And
yeah, right.
I hope these guys know how to filter through it and people telling them that. But it's hard. It's hard. Like, I would just say don't read it. Like, stay off of it.
It's hard. It's extremely difficult.
I'm addicted to my phone and I'm old. So, yeah. It's not going anywhere, unfortunately.
So you've self-admitted that you've reached the old stage?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to stop myself. I have to stop myself from making just awful comments about, like, being grumpy, you know? You know, it's a stupid one that only, you know, you can kind of relate to, but it's like when you're at a football game and you're filming on the sideline and like someone gets in your way.
Oh yeah.
Especially if it's like a younger person, you know, maybe it's a kid and they don't know the rules. You know, there's certain rules of the sideline. You don't get in people's way. And I get furious. And I want to just bark at the wind.
Don't get in my shot.
Don't get it. Yeah, that's the nice way to put it.
Just the range, the 180. You know,
where you start the play, you end the play. But, you know, that's nerd stuff.
Don't go. That was funny when you and I were at that Anderson Weiss game. The one kid got run over by the official.
Yeah, he got hit. I'm telling you, there's something bad's going to happen. I don't want to see it, but I know it's coming because it's either people that don't pay attention or it's, like the ball boys are running around playing their own game on the sideline, not paying attention. I've seen it so close,
right?
Almost just getting dump trucked by somebody running through the end zone.
For people who don't know, there's the white line, then there's the border of the field, and there's that little lane. That's for those who are watching, or that's where the officials, that's their lane to run. But some officials like to make a
banana,
and it happens.
Did you ever get knocked down filming?
I got hit in Lufkin, Texas once, and I held the camera up like this as I fell down. It wasn't overly graceful. And I don't remember what college football game it was. I got blasted in the ear hole by an official. I didn't go down, but my head was ringing for at least 2 quarters. And I was not in his lane. I've gone down once at a high school game, and I've learned ever since. So like, if the action's coming toward you, you can see it. If you've done this long enough, you can see it. You can avoid it. I feel very confident in that. Except this time, I was on the sidelines. Guy was running. He's going to the end zone. Well, the DB pursuing takes a bad angle and dives and misses the tackle and just comes sliding into me. So I follow the camera with the runner, and the DB just comes and clips me. But then I learn, when you got bad DBs with bad angles, that's what you got to pay attention to, and you just back up. It's a teaching moment for us.
Yeah,
we learned.
That's I've been bumped into plenty of times. That was the only time I went down.
Yeah,
I've seen people get tattooed.
I've seen, ran into walls, knocking out. It's like bowling pins.
Cameras broken.
Lens shattered everywhere.
Yep.
People don't know this. The lens and those big cameras that we used to, they have points where they disconnect on purpose due to stress. And that's the reason, to minimize the damage to a $50,000 piece of equipment, or however much they are. They're not cheap. For some people in the media, it's their salary. It's horrible. It's too early, but the enrollment numbers, the snapshot day was a month or 2 ago. What do you anticipate in the Austin area for the UIL realignment in February?
Yeah, it matters.
Yeah.
Because if you are LBJ and you're in 5A, it's a different road than if you're in 4A. So it's very minimal. Those teams going up or going down. Anderson's going down, aren't they?
I think they'll stay at D5A Division 1.
Okay.
I think.
Okay. But they may move back into the district with some of the Austin schools.
So I heard that.
Anyways, there's a couple of teams that right on that line that can make a difference. I think it'll be interesting if you start getting the district where, like Westlake and Lake Travis are going to be with Vandegrift and maybe some of the Leander schools instead of a little bit more south. I think that could be really interesting. Could be, again, Dripping Springs is one of those teams that's right there too. They're right there on that breakthrough threshold of they're getting really good players. When are they going to make their run to a state title game? So that'd be interesting if they're not paired with Westlake and Lake Travis, and if they would go, farther south or whatever. So yeah, there's some interesting possibilities for the Austin area.
There's so many, and it's really, honestly, it's too hard to really look at the broad view because there's so many scenarios. It'd be more like an opinion. and it's just Dripping Springs. I'm glad you said that. Galen Zimmerman, they are there. But with that new high school on the horizon, I really hope that doesn't bust that up.
I mean, how many times have we seen it in this area? How it one program and it just disperses it to the next. Like Pflugerville is a perfect example. Pflugerville had it rolling for a while, and then Hendrickson opened, and then Hendrickson had a lot of dudes, and then Weiss opened, and now a lot of them are at Weiss. So it's interesting to kind of follow that. But a lot of times, and again, Austin, just in general, force more people out to the edges.
Correct. Busting at the seams, so to speak.
It's very hard to afford to live in Austin.
It takes a few extra dollars,
shekels
per day.
So yeah, it's been interesting to watch the migration of where some of the talent has gone and where that will continue to shift.
That's a big one. And then Wimberley, they've been very consistent. I've had 2 people tell me this. Keep an eye on Salado.
Yeah. That's again, if you're pushing even farther north, that's kind of the next town past Georgetown.
Man, we love positivity in a world of negativity.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
All right, buddy. I got to give you an insight on whose voice that is. So Mike Hardball Hard's son, DJ, the young one, that's before he hit puberty.
Oh, wow, because he's like a junior in high school now or something like that.
Somewhere in high school, I can't remember. He's a young and up-and-coming basketball star.
Mm-hmm.
So that was before the voice change and all that. And he did a great job. I still think we've got backlogged talent fees for this. So we need to save it for his
Got some
NIL.
invoices due, yeah.
The DJ Hart's NIL, if that was, whoa, hey. See, animation with your hands is never a good thing. Is there anything that, in a world, we talked about it. Twitter can be brutal. The world outside. How do you navigate all this? Tell me something good, my brother.
Sports-wise or anything?
Anything.
I got it. Well, look, my world revolves around my 3-year-old daughter. So there's very little control of what I get to do outside of work. But you and I, we're Austinites through and through. And so last night we got to take her to the trail lights for the first time.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a must. And we were debating it. It was like, it's kind of misty, rainy all day yesterday. And my wife and I were like, I was like, if we don't do it tonight, we're never going to do it. And it was awesome. She loved it. I don't know why old people go to it now that I've taken a kid there. It's definitely for children. But it was great. It was all these little things for her to see Santa, to see the Grinch, she loves Disney. There's all these Disney decorations. She only fell in the mud once. So yeah, it wasn't so dirty we had to abort mission. We dusted off and, avoided tantrums, and we got back on the trail, literally. So yeah, that was look, this time of year in general is fun, but to have that, like someone who grew up going to the trail lights, meant something to me. To take my daughter was really cool.
That's a legacy right there. And Trav didn't say it, but I'll say it. The Trail of Lights has changed drastically from when you and I were.
For sure.
And it's very commercial, but they do a good job with it. It's much different, but it is something a kid will remember for the rest of their lives. It's beautiful. I mean, it's the lights. It is sensory overload.
Yeah, it is. And look, you're not wrong about the other things. Like, we paid the money. You can still go for free, but we paid the money to go early because you want to avoid. It gets pretty crowded. We want to avoid some of those. Some of that scene. And again, when you have a toddler who can make decisions that, go good or bad at any moment, we're going to try and avoid the crowds as much as possible. So get there early. Parking's not as bad, and able to get through the lines a little bit quicker. It was well worth it.
Man, I'm so happy, and I love following you and your family and the daughter and your pictures, and it's as you know, it goes by really quick. Before you know it, you're going to have to start withdrawing on that college fund and find out where she's going.
Brother, we got a long I'll give you this. Here's another good one. I will never force my loyalties on her. My wife might, but we're both Texas grads.
Right.
And she knows how to do hook 'em. And she knows when outside influences are coming in, like my sister, who's a tech grad, tries to teach her guns up. She goes, "No, JoJo. Hook 'em up, not horns down, hook 'em up." So, look, not forcing her to feel one way or another. These are just, things she knows.
It's good to have an influence early in life to go the right direction in certain areas.
Right, right. It just
it's good parenting.
Certain areas.
It's great parenting. It makes you guys a great dad. And mom. Mom's great too. She's phenomenal.
Yes, no doubt. Also, a big life lesson: don't ever date a coworker, except when it works. And it worked for us too. So
you guys
probably know my wife more than they know me watching our channel.
Hey, FYI, yeah, if you get on Spectrum, you can see both of the Receks, but his better half, it might be a little bit more exposure there, except when you get to the sports times. So what are you working on as we wrap this up? What do you want people? Your coverage of Texas high school football begins tomorrow or on Friday.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be down there. We'll be doing reports. We'll be doing stories. We'll be posting content to the social media. Again, as far as promoting us, we do some of the daily content. Hopefully we're finding the stories. That's our focus. That's the most important thing we can do, is try to find unique stories and tell those in a really impactful way. I think that's our biggest contribution to, sports media. It's what I believe in. It's what our station believes in. And, what we're trying to do, we're covering teams. We're there for, big announcements here and there, but we're trying to find human interest stories that resonate with a broad audience.
You do a great job, man. You always have, and I don't know if I've ever said it enough, but I've always admired your work and your hustle, and just not taking it so serious, but you pour your heart into it. And man, I'm proud of you, and love that we've stayed in touch. And man, have some fun in Arlington. There's Matt Stepp with Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
Sure,
he's staying at a place that I was not aware of, the Rambler Inn. By any chance, are you staying there?
I'm not staying there. I will say this: I'm having to switch hotels though, because the place I'm staying Friday night goes up about $300 Saturday night because it's the Cowboys game Sunday.
Oh,
now
they're out of the playoff.
Nobody probably cares about this game, but the hotels, when I was booking, still prorated it to that. So we inched a little farther to Fort Worth for the Saturday night accommodations.
FYI, Fort Worth, to me, a little bit better time. I'm going to piss off all of my Dallas friends when I say this. I love Fort Worth. If you get to Joe T. Garcia's before 4 or 5, you won't have to skip that ridiculous line. But some people say, some people say it's all overhyped. I think people who say that's your own opinion. You just got to go. On a night, you can sit on the porch, kind of like Matt's El Ranchos here in Austin.
No doubt.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate you, and Merry Christmas to you and your family as well.
Thanks so much. It was awesome to finally get this done. And, yeah, dude, happy holidays to you too, man.
I appreciate it. Anytime you get a chance to watch Spectrum and look at Travis Recek's his material on Spectrum, and then to talk high school football, man, it is always a good opportunity when you get that opportunity to talk about it.